All right, so let me start sharing this screen. And again, it just give me just a second to get, you guys know how it goes. You got to get all of the screens back so that they're not covering up, especially if you're recording. And oh, there it goes. And I can't see the chat now, so hang on while I pull that up so that I can share with you the login for this particular. I'm going to come back to that one. Here's our login. Not what I meant to do at all. There we go. Hang on. I condensed it to a bit.ly to make it easier to get in the chat. There we go. So the link to the slide deck is in the chat. I invite you, encourage you to use that link, mainly because the slide deck, as we go through it, it has some hyperlinks that you're going to want a little bit later. So those are offered for you down there to be able to access them. Welcome to our first General State Chapter meeting of CSTA for Tennessee for school year 25-26. We are excited to have you join us. I'm going to go back up here. And again, if you accessed the slide deck with the link I put in the chat, you're going to be able to go. If you registered through the CSTA website, when you logged in, it automatically logs your attendance. But if you didn't, please click on that, check it. I'll know what you were attending by the date, by the timestamp that's on it. And then just real quickly, let's see, when are we starting back school? Okay, so several of you have had students for a little while. Well, a little while, a week or so. I know there are some of the districts near me that are on the balanced or the year-round calendar. Their students went back like July 28th, so they're already 2 full weeks into the school year. But I think by and large, the majority of the state is this week and next week. Everybody will be back in school. So that's a double thank you for joining us when we know there is so much going on. We are recording this session so that you can go back. It's at the end of a long day, especially if it was your first day with students. We know what that does to your head. And it being a Monday just adds to the fun there. And we chose Mondays simply because there are fewer events scheduled on Monday nights because it is the beginning of the week. So I apologize if it makes a long week for you. It's only once a month. And our pledge to you is to be sure that we're sharing information that makes it worth your while to hop on with us. So again, you've got you can see the link for the slide deck. It's in the chat if you want to just click on it. A little bit about, and this is kind of a general agenda that we'll have each month for the second hour of our meeting. We recognize that 2 hours is a long time, but we thought this was an easier calendaring and scheduling way to do things for Tennessee teachers than having them a content focused at a different meeting than the general meeting. So we just put them all together. Please stay for as much as you can and watch the recording for the rest of it. And we said we would start out introducing. We're moving so much better than we actually have ever been in the 3 years since we set up the CSTA Tennessee chapter. I'm serving currently as our chapter president. I'm with TSIN. We have a new vice president, JC Burnett Gordon, who is on the call with us. JC, you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you work in the Memphis area, but you switched schools over the summer, and I forgot where your new one is.
So I'm actually, well, hi everybody. My name is JC Burnett Gordon. I am from Nashville, Tennessee. I am currently living in Martin, Tennessee, where I'm serving as the new dance ed professor at the University of Tennessee Martin. I've been a K-12 educator for the last 14 years. 12 of those years, I was teaching dance and personal finance in high schools. And then last year, I was teaching STEAM and computer science. Um, and I currently am the vice president for the Tennessee chapter. I am also a 24/25 computer science teacher of excellence for the entire teacher organization for CSTA. So I am here to help and be a resource for you all. If there's anything I can do, though I'm currently not teaching K-12, K-12 still holds my heart. I am a doctoral student at UT Knox for educational leadership for K-12. So K-12 holds my heart at all times. I am here to be a big resource or an asset for you, whatever that looks like. Please reach out. Let me know if there's anything I could do.
Thank you. And I have to say, I love JC's background and the fact that he's not the typical, I teach computer science, I came from industry in computer science. He's truly models what we're telling students and teachers all the time, that computer science habits are part of the everyday world now, and you can use them no matter what you're doing, whether it's in the arts and creatively, with dance and choreography, whether it's with other artistic or design sorts of activities, as well as, the traditional programmers. We need somebody everywhere along the continuum. So I love that he brings that energy and that enthusiasm. And thank you for stepping up to serve in this role for us, JC. And I look forward to him getting to be president next year. We also have our treasurer is Dr. Diedrich McGee from Collierville Schools. I know Diedrich's on here. Are you able to unmute and talk to us, Diedrich?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We know you've had a long day, but we're hoping that the information that you hear energizes you and at least builds your network so that you can put a couple more tools in your toolbox. Again, just thank you so much for being online today.
Thank you, Diedrich. We appreciate his input and his expertise. Dr. McGee has served in K-12 education in Tennessee for years, and I covered my mouth because I think we started the same year, and we've known each other, worked with each other for 20 plus years. So he's one of those people that when you got a question, he'll either know the answer or know who to ask to get the answer. He just very well connected. I love that he talked about filling your network because he's got a huge one.
That's not fair, Becky. You started when you were about 12. So there you go.
Yeah, right. Let's keep telling ourselves that. Thank you. We also have a secretary for the first time this year, Ann Tierno, joining us from Metro Nashville Public Schools. Ann, you want to tell us hello and a little bit about yourself?
Sure, happy to. My name's Ann Tierno. I'm the K-5 computer science teacher at Paragon Mills Elementary in Nashville. I've been teaching computer science for about 14 years. I've only ever taught computer science. And I didn't do it full time for 14 years. I did it part time for the first 8, and I'm 6 years in full time now. It's a second career for me. I spent many years in higher education. I'm also a doctoral candidate at MTSU. My dissertation, I'm in the middle of interviewing participants for my study, and my dissertation's on teacher sense making for new curricular initiatives as it pertains to computer science. So it's very specific to the computer science curricular initiative. I'm really looking forward to getting to meet and to know all of you and being your secretary. Hopefully my notes will be easily understood. Yeah.
understandable. There you go.
That's the word I was going
Yes.
for.
We thank you so much, Anne. I love it. And hopefully when you're needing some subjects and some folks to interview, that you might find some willing vocal people here among this network. And yeah, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to be rotating off this board just in time. I don't have the right education credentials to serve on this board. It's Doctor, and Becky. And then we couldn't cover the state if we didn't have regional representation. So we have Mark Wexmonsky representing the East. He is in Knoxville and in Knox County Schools. Mark, are you where you can unmute and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here as also not a doctor, uh, computer science teacher at L&N STEM Academy. I also teach some engineering. I've been doing that for about 6 years. Before that, I was teaching math there at L&N, and been teaching math for a long time. And at some time in a prior life was an engineer.
And I do know Mark is also serving on an interesting board with a group looking at certification, teacher certification for related to computer science. And I hope at some point over the course of this year, you'll be, because I know you can't talk much about what you guys have discussed so far, but hopefully we can pick your brain and hear about what's being considered and maybe provide some input for you to take back to the discussion.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress, and Brandon's been a big part of that as well.
Yep.
So it was good to see him on here.
Yep, exactly. We thank you for your time and for stepping up and volunteering. Our middle Tennessee representative is Dr. Teresa Wise. She's with Rutherford County Schools. She was with us our first hour and had to step off uh, to attend a meeting, or I think it was her open house, beginning of year open house for her son, for her child. But she shared with us earlier, and I'm going to put it in the chat so you can have the link, because I will forget to do it if I don't do it right now while I'm thinking about it. She, in Rutherford County, she has created a Padlet for middle school teachers to add resources. Um, and I'm putting the link so that you can access it. She offered it up to anybody interested to check it out, whether just to check out the resources others have added or to add some of your own. You're welcome to that. And then our West Tennessee representative position is actually currently open. So if you're anywhere west of Nashville and would be willing, reps, we really try to make it a low lift. We just need them to work with the officers of the organization. We're trying to make sure that we have in-person meetups, one in each region. For this first year, we're setting what we feel is an attainable bar for ourselves of wanting to have 1 to 2 in-person meetups per semester per region. So, Mark in the East Tennessee region might do something in the Knoxville area because that's where he lives. But then for the second one next semester, he might help us. And it doesn't mean you have to be there. It just means you'll help us find places, like calling a colleague who works in Jefferson County or up towards Greene or Washington County, maybe, and just helping us arrange that. And Janetta, thank you for asking. The qualifications for the West position are that you are interested in helping us to grow our network of computer science teachers in Tennessee. That really is it. You do not have to, you can be in any position, classroom, coaching, supervising, district level, higher ed level, just willing to work with us to help find places to have those in-person meetups, and other things as we become better established as a chapter. But we're really trying to keep it not a terrible big time in position, because right now we're focused on growth more than anything else, and then we'll worry about adding a little bit more substance around it once we feel like we've got a critical mass. Thank you for asking to apply. Email me, My email is very simple. It's my last name at battelle.org. And just let me know where you work so that I know what region you're in and that you're interested in helping out. You're in luck. You're here on the ground floor, so you're able to do it probably without having to run off against anybody. Hopefully by next year we will have elections where the representatives, and we, in the bylaws that we adopted as a group as we were organizing, we used bylaws that exist for other state level educational organizations, and the representative term is 2 years. To be able to just say, I'll work with it for a couple of years, but we know things happen. If you have to step off, just let us know. But we'll do the election cycle every couple of years. So it's great to see you guys here. Hello, Danielle. Thanks for the shout out. But that's our officers. But when you look at our vision as a chapter, we want to be a voice for teachers, driven by teachers who are member focused, committed to equity, and a place where people grow. That means if you're a member of us, a part of us, you have a voice, you have a place to serve, to step in. You are valued and you are welcome here. So if you've got a talent you want to offer up for anything at all, we're ready to help you find how to put it into service for the greater good of our community of computer science teachers. This year, it's like we chartered as an organization in 2022, right when the computer science education law was voted on by the legislation, and we've had a couple starts and haven't been able to get forward momentum. And finally, it feels like the wheels are turning, and we're overcoming the inertia. So this year, our goals are to establish a full leadership board, which you saw on that previous slide. We're one position short of being there. So already almost met our first goal for 25-26. We want to build our membership base across the whole state, and we want to contribute to the growth of content and pedagogy by Tennessee teachers. Not just those who have computer science direct instruction classes in their schedule, but all teachers, so that they're comfortably able to integrate computer science content into their lessons. And with that, I want to share with you, I want to introduce you to somebody who's going to share with us a resource that's available for all Tennessee teachers to be able to do some of that incorporating and integrating into the classroom. Let me introduce you, and I am looking for the doggone stop share button. I have lost there it is, my control panel. I want to introduce you to Jessie Hall, who is our East Tennessee representative from Kira Learning. She works with counties I'm sorry, I didn't mean to advance. She works with counties from East Tennessee to Middle East Tennessee. And then she has a colleague similarly who covers Middle West and West Tennessee. But Jessie's going to talk to us just a little bit about some of the resources that you may or may not know are currently being provided by Kira. Kira was a vendor who was contracted by the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network for the Department of Education as a partner in building the curriculum that was called out in the computer science education law. And Kira has just they've adopted Tennessee. They've taken us on as their child, and they have built not just the required courses. They've built a whole ecosystem of supports for teachers, supports for learners, and some really great ways to inspire your kids to continue learning and making computer science a part of their future. So with that, I'm going to ask Jessie to share with us a little bit about Kira.
Hello, and nice to see familiar names and faces. Always nice to see you guys. I'm sure for some of you this will be old hat, things you already know, but I still appreciate you taking some time and joining. I'm going to share my screen. And if you can't see it, if people could just start jumping up and down and yelling, I would appreciate it. But if you can, I'm going to go through this real quick. Hopefully, I can keep it pretty timely to not take all of your meeting time, but I do appreciate just having a little bit of the time today. Becky has been an amazing partner for Kira and just an amazing advocate for Tennessee. So very much appreciate you kind of giving us a little bit of your time. So as Becky mentioned, I'm Jessie. I live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I grew up in technically Smyrna, but we'll say Smyrna, Murfreesboro. I went to ETSU, so I was in East Tennessee for about 9 years. So very familiar with that middle to East Tennessee like drive, we'll say. I've done that hundreds of times in my life. So if you're in any of those areas, I'm pretty familiar, but also am so happy to serve this area because I will take any excuse I can to go to East Tennessee. As far as who Kira is, Becky gave a great introduction, but as a foundation, we've been partnered with TSIN and TDOE since 2023. We are the platform for the CSEP course, or the platform you would take the CSEP course on. So if you've done that, you've been on Kira. We are also, our foundation is providing that computer science curriculum, but also, as Becky mentioned this year, we also have the addition of some AI tooling. So if we know a lot of the CS teachers, this may not be the only subject you're teaching. It may be just one thing on your roster with a bunch of other courses or a tested subject or thing like that. So just wanted to mention that we do have some tools that are not just for computer science, though that is our special favorites, we'll say. I'm going to talk a little bit about today about like Tennessee, where we started, where we do it now, what your teachers would need to do to get started with Kira and what that would look like, and then just AI tooling that we built to support Tennessee. So where do we get started? I already mentioned this, there's a bunch of words on here, ignore those, but the foundation is, as we all know, 2022, this legislation got passed. They were like, hey, in 2 years, you better be ready to meet that need. I know there are still some schools that are still working out how to meet that need. I think that next year might be the last point where we can offer those courses. But that was, kind of where the story started. So right after the legislation passed, we started our partnership with TSIN and TDOE. That started initially with just the computer science endorsement pathway. So just how do we train teachers? How do we get teachers across the state that can meet this need? Then it expanded to the classes. So after that, we added the middle and high school classes, as Becky mentioned, specifically designed for Tennessee to meet Tennessee requirements. And this is my partner, Nick, and I. So we do split the state of Tennessee. As Becky mentioned, I call dibs on this area up here, which is my personal favorite. But Nick lives in Memphis. So if there's any of you that are in that west corner of the state, or even, I will say like south portion of the state, Nick would be your go-to, but also you can bother any of us anytime. We are a two-person team just dedicated to supporting Tennessee. And we were brought on specifically because we can support on the ground. We're pretty close. I would say I'm, max 5 hours from any of you that are on this call right now, which maybe that's a bit of a drive, but it's not a drive I'm afraid of doing. So reach out to us anytime if there's anything we can do to help. Next thing I'll mention is like where we've been since then. So 2023, that was a couple years ago, depending on if you're on the first call where Becky called it 2024. We are 2 years of it now, but it's been a minute since that relationship started. So as of now, as of the last school year at least, we have about 72% of districts using Kira in Tennessee. The way that we determined that was there's at least one teacher in the district that is actively using Kira to teach students. You may notice some gaps on here. So, please feel free to reach out to me if you are in any of these gray gaps. We also obviously have some special districts that overlap some of these, but we are pretty well represented across the state. We do have teachers who have completed the CSEP training in every district in Tennessee. So that is just, that is by no credit to Kira on that one, all the credit to Becky and TSIN and TDOE, but CSEP is represented across the state. This map right here really indicates who's teaching with Kira, so who is actively using it in classrooms. So since that, 2023, 2,000 teachers have been endorsed across the state of Tennessee. That is very exciting as compared to how many were endorsed before then. Like Becky is saying, these are much needed to address this need. As I mentioned, we have schools that they are kind of at this point where next school year, we will absolutely have to meet this need and we will absolutely have to have the teachers in place. Obviously, some people starting a little sooner than that, but we did not have nearly this many teachers 2 years ago. I would say it was probably in the hundreds, if I would even say that. Yeah, maybe even up there might be a big estimate. So we've really grown. Tennessee has really, really grown in this realm. Outside of that, we had over 650 teachers that were using Kira last year. So that is using Kira to teach with students. And then we had almost 70,000 students that were using it in the classroom. So that is across middle school and high school. But over the span of the last school year, almost 70,000 students went through Kira to get that state requirement completed. And just to kind of mention this, sorry, there's a lot of words on this slide, but want to just kind of mention like the things that we've learned. So as Becky mentioned, we started this relationship just at the foundation. Let's build a course to check the box. Let's meet the needs. Let's have a course that will supplement and support all of these teachers that are brand new to this subject, everyone who's being thrown into this. So what have we built out from then, from that starting place? First one, as I mentioned, the majority of teachers in Tennessee are new to teaching computer science. I do not have official numbers on that. My ballpark would probably be 80 to 90% of the CS teachers were not teaching CS 2-3 years ago. It is by far the majority of teachers are brand new to teaching this and brand new to this requirement. We also heard from a lot of teachers that our previous high school course was a little challenging. So, with it being a little challenging, also a little boring at times, a little pulling teeth to get those students through it, especially people who are taking it for the general requirement. After that, we've internally been calling it Coding Light, but a more foundational high school course. So this was specifically to meet that general requirement need, help get students involved. We also heard that, students want more content, teachers want more content. They have students in the classroom for a little bit longer than that, 6 to 9 weeks that the middle school course is created for. Or, one of the main goals of this legislation was how do we build up computer science interest? So how do we get more students interested in doing computer science long term? How do we introduce this concept as a possible future route? So that was when we added some additional courses. That includes the Finch Robots course and another course about just the ethical use of AI, which we all know is a very, very important topic right now for both teachers and students. We also heard, we mentioned this a little bit in the previous session, but elementary teachers, they really needed some content. The guidelines about elementary have been a little bit less clear, but a little bit more, let's find ways to incorporate that in the classroom. Let's find ways to bring it in, find ways to bring in those foundational concepts. So we did introduce a course specifically to do that, specifically to introduce elementary students in 3rd to 5th grade to some of the concepts they'll see when they get to middle school. So it'll introduce them to that platypus for those of you who have taken the course or have taught the course. It teaches them just that basic foundational algorithmic thinking. That was really important to us because we were getting that request a lot. And then finally, we also heard that there was a lot of need for providing that support within the state. So whenever Nick and I came on almost a year ago, a big thing was people saying we really need PD. I have 10 new computer science teachers in my district. I have, just plenty of new computer science teachers who are brand new to this. I don't really know how to support them because it's a new subject for me, things like that. So this summer, we actually hosted Train the Trainer sessions. That was to have certified Kira trainers, including Michael Chaffin, if you are in the previous session, but just trainers across the state of Tennessee who can support their fellow Tennessee teachers. The experience of teaching PD from an office when you were a teacher 10 years ago, as our PD team, they have an amazing background, but that is very different from the people like Michael Chaffin, who have been teaching it every single year in classrooms, who have been working with hundreds of students right now. So we really wanted to build out that support across the state. And just to kind of lay out what all is included in that partnership. So as I mentioned, it started with the CSEP, the endorsement pathway for teachers. It expanded to that foundational intro to computational thinking and programming for middle school. Then we had this intro to CS and Python, and that was kind of it. That was the foundation. That was the bare minimum of meeting those state requirements. But we've grown quite a bit since then. So we also added the Coding Finch Robots course, as I mentioned before. This was after hearing a lot of feedback that everyone loved the Finch robots, but they weren't really sure what to do with them or how to incorporate them or how to integrate them into their classwork. We also, as I mentioned, added a new high school course. So This one, probably 80% coding. This newer one is probably 30% coding. So it still includes coding. It still gives them that foundation. But I'll get back to you, Janetta. But it does, it incorporates other concepts as well. So the big thing we wanted to include here was give students a reason to see computer science in their lives, find out ways for it to be relevant, reasons why they should care about it, things like that. Um, and Danielle, I see your comment on early education. Right now, the only thing we have is that grades 3 through 5, but I will share the feedback that it's needed. So that was a big thing, is like we are constantly looking for that feedback as far as what can we do better? How can we meet the needs better? If you think that it would be useful to have something for, I don't know, would you say like K through 2 as an early foundation? Does that sound right? I can see you nodding, Danielle. If you'd like to unmute, you can. No pressure at all.
Yes, like that's a space that I'm currently really interested in. I am in a PhD program where we're actually exploring this, so that's just like something I'm really interested in, and to see like what is the industry really doing about this.
Yes, no, that is a great point. I'm going to share that with our content team, just as far as like that is something that there's an interest for. I think that our big balance is like, what's the level to introduce these concepts? What's the level where it makes sense, which I'm sure you are dealing with every day. But if you don't mind, I would love to like keep your name and maybe reach out to you to get more information on what you feel like would be helpful, just if you do have that experience. If not, I don't have to, but just put that out there that we really appreciate our Tennessee partnerships. Like, the experience of being an engineer, a lot of our engineers are previous educators, the vast majority of them. But the experience of like being an engineer is very different from the experience of teaching in a classroom. So as much as we can get that like feedback for things that are actually relevant, things that actually would make a difference for you, we will happily take it. So I may reach out to you later, Danielle, if that's okay. But so we do have that 3 through 5 one. We also have AP Computer Science. It's pretty similar to this heavy Python one, but we just wanted to offer that alternative, knowing that it was a need across the state. Outside of that, lots of support opportunities. So I mentioned that we do have the train the trainers now that are teachers that are certified trainers across the state, but we still do professional development. So we try to aim for about a webinar once a week, once every other week or so, but they are always available as recordings. So I'm going to share this deck with Becky, but you can access these recordings anytime. We do not expect you to be able to join every session in the middle of your workday. They're usually at like 4 p.m. Central, but still middle of your workday if you're a teacher. We want those to be available anytime for you. We also have a Facebook group that's specifically for Tennessee teachers. So we wanted a way to try to build up that community, build up ways for teachers to support other teachers. And, also want to mention support tickets. Like there's no limit. Please bother us anytime. Like it's as many questions as you'd like. We try to answer every ticket within an hour, close it within 24 hours. So like don't hesitate to reach out to us if we can help. And I also want to plug that, Nick and I are available as well. Okay, I want to go into Kira now as much as I can, but I don't want to take all your time, so I might abbreviate a little bit. Wanted to mention that whenever you first sign in, you're going to get this Kira 101 for educators. So if you have anyone who has new accounts, they will start here. It's a great how-to document. Also wanted to mention that the teacher resources, we really tried to build these out. So this is for the brand new computer science course. You can see these notes here as far as like not everyone has one, but most units have these guided notes, lesson plans, slides, so ready-made. You could, open the course and get off the ground teaching tomorrow if you wanted to. But we really tried to build these things out so that you could get started, like without having to build all of that yourself, without having to build it, bring all these resources in yourself. It includes a pacing guide so you can make sure you're accurately pacing out the semester. You can plan it at the beginning. We also have the standards alignments if you want to do some really big reading as far as here's where all of these standards are mentioned, just to make sure that we are laying it all out and very, visual to see that, as well as some other resources. So I did do a little plug here as far as the Unit 0. We have a lot of schools who don't get their computers until maybe the second or third week of classes. Technology, the powers that be, I think that also, that first week back to classes, the internet is not always as reliable as it can be. So this unit 0 is built to be like a starting place. So it includes a lot of like how to best set up your classroom. Here's some unplugged activities to like get those concepts a very foundational stage. So I just wanted to point that out as far as anyone who is new to this or just getting started, this can be a great way to get started and also like get off on the right foot with your students. One thing I want to mention, assignments and due dates. If you did use this in the past, I'm very excited about this, but you can like visually show your students when things are due. So, you can have that very visual reminder. You can have it very organized. If you do integrate with something like Canvas, it'll send back into Canvas in these assignments. So just something to keep in mind as far as it can be very organized. It can be very like giving those visual cues to students and keeping track of things. Because in the past, this was kind of a, maybe you have a separate syllabus, something that lives outside of it. We wanted to find a way to put it in there. Okay, AI tools. Want to mention our AI tutor. So this is a great way to have that level of support around students, just understanding that you cannot be in 35 to 120 places at once, depending on how many students you have taking through the course at a given point. We really wanted to have a way for them to get that one-on-one support without you having to provide it at all times. So this can be very minimal support. The foundation of the way that we built this is to provide like guidance. So it is not at all to provide the answer. We all know the issues with AI and cheating and just giving students answers. That was kind of our foundational building block for the AI tutor, was lead them to the right answer. Do not just tell it to them. But one thing I really want to point out is that this can be great if you do have students that have, IEPs or 504s or just individual student needs. You can adjust the level of support that's being added. So you can adjust the reading level for certain students, whether that needs to be higher or lower, depending on the students. You can also adjust the support level. So I think it's level 1. I always get these backwards. I think it's level 1 has the least level of support. So maybe your students who really need a challenge, you're like, I don't want them to, I want to make it a little bit more complicated for them. Let's provide the least level of support. Maybe you're providing the highest level of support to, that's a great point, Janetta. We have one for teachers, but I think it's a great point to have one for students as well. I'm going to share that feedback if that's okay. But this can be a great way to just differentiate based on individual student needs. So maybe those, IEPs, 504s, you can point to, I'm providing this additional level of support. I'm providing maybe this adjusted reading level, but very much considering individual needs. And you can adjust this at any time. So like as you get to know your students, you can play with these settings a little bit. Also want to mention like our free responses have it too now. So I know that in the past, at the beginning of last year, it was only for those big black box coding questions. Now it is available on any question that you can have. So you can have any thing that comes up in the course. We are developing the ability to make your own content within the next week as well. This will be supporting that as well. So we are really trying to build it so that AI can do the stuff that you don't have the time to do. You can spend your time and energy on the more important things like connecting with the students and providing that extra level of support. Also want to mention for teachers. So we do have in the course, in these big black box coding ones, you can see the students live coding. So you can go in the back end, see the live updates that they're making. But this really came from teachers saying like, I'm brand new to this subject. I don't have the capacity to support my students. Like they're asking me questions. They're coming out of left field. That's great to hear, Janetta. But they were, the teachers didn't really feel like confident in their abilities. So that was why, and that's obviously just some teachers that are newer to it. Most of those teachers are probably at the point now where they're not even using this, but it was a request we were getting a lot. So we wanted to find a way to add that extra level of support. And this does, again, just provide the guiding question. So it is not, here's the answer, tell them the answer. It is, how can we get the student to the answer? How can we both support the student? So I just wanted to mention this. Quick grader, we got a quick grading thing. So, any questions where they are doing a free response, we'll have an AI generated grade on it. You can take this or leave this. It does not auto submit to the student. You could say this feedback is junk. I'm going to backspace this whole thing and rewrite it. That's fine. We really just want to save admin time for teachers as much as we can. Other thing I will mention is that with the assignments and due dates, that is part of the quick grader as well now. So it will show if they submitted it late, if they submitted it on time, et cetera, et cetera. So that is part of the conversation now. And other thing I wanted to mention here is, if you don't want to use this, you don't have to. So it is just kind of like a first round, trying to save you time, but you can turn it off if you'd like. And you can see here, this is a bad example because it's only out of 1 point, but we have some that are out of 3 points, out of 5 points. So it will suggest a grade for them, and you can take it or leave it as much as you'd like. Last thing I want to mention, and Janetta just gave us a very good call out for this, but we do also have these AI tools. So these are, content agnostic. These live inside of Kira, but anyone can use them. I know that I have things I need to write all the time. Like I just wrote a reference letter the other day. And I use this because, when I was thinking about my thoughts, I think I used the word good like 5 times. That's not a good reference letter. That was not the best language. So again, these tools are being built in here specifically to save you admin time so you can do the work that really matters. So we have, this IEP generator in here, right here, the ability to put together a study guide, the ability to put together a reference letter, just several different things that are in the platform. You can export them. Obviously, you can copy paste if you want, but we wanted to have these tools in here again, just to try to save you time so you can do what matters. And I think these are my last 2 slides. Wanted to do like a really quick plug for the other grading AI tooling we have in here. So we do have the ability to create a rubric, and then you can use that rubric to grade other assignments. So again, this is kind of like if you're doing things outside of the Kira course, whether that's different subjects, whether that's different assignments you're bringing in, whatever it might be, we do have the ability to have the quick grader be part of that as well. So we just really want, our whole goal is to save teacher time for the work that matters, save the time that you are writing rubrics or, doing those little fine kind of boring details like, hey, you forgot a colon here, you forgot to tab over. Just as much as we can save the time from that, that is our major goal, is supporting our teachers and students and hoping they feel a little bit more confident, especially as I mentioned, the vast majority of teachers in Tennessee are brand new to this computer science subject. Thank you guys for just listening to me like talk at you for like 30 minutes. I know that was a ton of information. I'm going to share a version of this with Becky. I'll probably include a couple other slides just for, that little bit expanded quick grader and a little bit expanded like tooling stuff. But thank you so much for letting me have some time to just talk a little bit about Kira. I'll stop sharing, but thank you guys for the comments in the chats as well. I will respond to them, but also please reach out to me if you do have any questions, if there's anything I can do to help support.
Thank you so much, Jesse. It's one of those things, you have so much to share. We all know that good presentation chunks, but when you've only got a limited amount of time, all you can do is just throw it all at everybody and say, you can go back and watch the recording later on and start and stop and click on the links as you're going through. But yeah, and of course, I don't know if it's sad, funny, ironic, whatever, but you just scratch the surface of what Kira has to offer to support Tennessee teachers. And we do value their partnership. They've been a true collaborative partner. They were the only, and I don't think this is a violation to share this, when we put out the RFP for the vendor to select, they were the only vendor that came with a proposal to develop alongside of us, instead of coming with a ready-made curriculum that they already had and saying, here's where we think it aligns. Kira was like, nah, we don't have one already developed. We want to develop it along with you. And that, it just fit our needs, with Tennessee standards being so specific to our state. And even though they're based off the national CSTA framework, we all know that in Tennessee, we value national standards with a Tennessee flavor. So we appreciate Kira for helping put some good Tennessee flavor on these courses. And they have the resource guides and the abilities, the different AI features that they're adding are all, if you've attended any of their webinars or any of their trainings, you've heard people suggest, I wish it could do this. And then, few weeks, few months later, all of a sudden they roll it out and you're like, I was there when somebody made that suggestion. So we really do value them as collaborative partners. So thank you, Jessie. And she really means it. like Brandon, Jesse and Nick both respond efficiently to emails. So reach out to them, let them hear from you. Just if it's not something that's already built in, they'll talk to you about workarounds. They'll talk with you about how to support whatever it is that you're trying to do. So use them. They're a wonderful resource. In addition to, I mean, the course itself, the curriculums and everything are wonderful, but it's the people that really make them stand out. I want to, as we are winding down, I want to remind you, I'm still learning the new web platform that CSTA has gone to, and I want to be sure everybody who's on here gets credit for being here in your learning passport. Yes, if you register through the CSTA event site, it does something automatically, but I'm not sure I know how to correctly export it and make sure that you get the credit. So if you'll click on the link I just threw in the chat, it's a short Google form. Please do that so I can make sure I've got another way to document who was here, so I can be sure that your passports get updated. And I am going to share one more time to get us to the end of this. And oh, we were way beyond that. Okay, so a couple other resources that are out there include Kira has all these great resources. Tennessee Department of Ed and TSIN have information at computersciencetn.org. If you or somebody in your building is going through or has questions about the computer science endorsement pathway, the it just started, so you missed the window to start this fall. It runs once in the fall and once in the spring semester, but they'll be opening up the window to sign up for the spring semester, probably October. It's usually mid-fall, and but you'll find information about the pathway at that website. You'll find the document that you see here, the implementation guidebook. You'll also find an implementation an integration guide that if you're working, especially those of you who are elementary and middle school, because there are I believe it's 27 standards in the middle school curriculum. And if you are standards, and if you are one of those folks who meet with your students once a week, and so you have maybe 18 meetings with them over the course of the school year to get that required course in, you can't do it without your colleagues helping, so that students have the chance to legitimately internalize the standards and use them. So the integration guidebook especially has tools in there to help you work through how to take a lesson that meets Tennessee's ELA or one of the math or science or PE or arts curricula, and how to embed computer science content and skills in there. And you can pick and choose among the lessons and the modules that you'll find in Kira, in code.org, and some of the others that you've heard mentioned tonight. But those are all in the the integration guidebook. And then, of course, we encourage you, invite you to mark your calendars, start putting in now to get a substitute on December 10th. We will be in Nashville at Geodis Park for our, this will be our 4th Computer Science Momentum Expedition. We're really excited to bring this again during National Computer Science Education Week. This year, in addition to the field trips and the VR, and there's an AR experience actually that's going to be included this year. That's just, I'm super excited about it. We'll have the exhibitors, but we will also have, because of teacher requests and feedback from previous events, we'll have short content and grade band focused sessions. They're too short to be a workshop. It'll be sit and get, but it is a way to add to the experience for you to be able to walk away with something that you can turn around and use back in your classroom that week at school. So everybody's invited to that. Registration has not yet opened, but that QR code takes you to the page that's there, so you can bookmark it and make sure that you're ready to go. At the Momentum Expedition, we will once again recognize our Excellence in Computer Science Teaching Awards that we do every year. Those nominations open up on September 1st. You are welcome to self-nominate. Let people know what you're doing. Help us recognize all the great things you're doing for students in your community. That's on there. Oops. I'll come back to that one in a second. Also opening on September 1st is an awards and scholarship opportunity from the National Center for Women in Technology organization. They have a special program called Aspirations in Computing. There are awards that go to high school students, awards that go to undergraduate and people who are associated with institutes of higher ed, or post-secondary learning, and then educator awards. Those all open September 1st. There's a lot of money there, very prestigious awards. So you might want to click that whole page when you get the slide deck. That whole page is hyperlinked to their site, so you can find out more about them. And then Brandon was with us in our first hour and he had to hop off. You know what the Department of Ed provides. I know that right now one of his interests this year is working on what do we need to do to support K-5 instruction in particular. I know he started with 3.5. We appreciate Kira again being a great partner and rolling out their course that supports 3 through 5 grade instruction. And I know that he is looking also at how do we support pre-readers and early readers as they learn, because they can still learn computational skills and a little bit of content that's grade level appropriate. And I do know right now that he's spending a lot of time visiting classrooms around the state. So you might see him pop in. Feel free to email him, which his address is there at the bottom of the slide, and invite him to your classroom. Let him know what's going on, what you're doing. Again, a great partner. And, and Thomas Furman just popped into the chat with cybersecurity conference that will be in Nashville 2 days before the Momentum Expedition. Cybersecurity, huge topic right now in workforce development. If you have questions about that conference, you can email Thomas. Thomas, will you throw your email address in there in the chat for them if they have questions about it? That they may not be able to find on the website. They might they might bother you with it. Thomas is computer science and STEM coordinator in Putnam County, not Putnam County, Cumberland County schools. They're on the plateau. And we would love to have every one of you get involved actively as a member of our state CSTA chapter by joining a working group, which will be rolling out as we go through the year, as we set up opportunities for what we're looking at. We need people, I talked about it before, to be the regional liaison, and I actually already got a volunteer for that one, which is awesome. But here's the big one, any one of you on the call can do. We need people to be willing to share in the first hour the computer science connections that you saw. Michael did a great job sharing, just talking about what he does on a daily basis. It does not have to be full lesson plan, slide deck supported kind of thing. Just share with us what you're doing so that we can, number one, we can amplify your voice across the state, but we can also help out other teachers who are looking for things that you might be experienced in. Email me, ash@battelle.org, and let me know what you'd like to talk about, what grade level it's best suited for, because we do want to get the schedule out farther ahead of time so people can plan to join us. And in saying that, you'll be getting the announcement for the next meetings coming up, along with a survey, because we're trying to make sure, this was a prototype, this first 2-hour session. We want to make sure that it's useful to you. So I'll be asking for opinions. What can we do to make it even more useful for you? If you're not already a member of CSTA, please consider joining. Following one of the follow-ups from this meeting will be a targeted email for you on how to join CSTA. And they just went to a paid membership for everybody. There's actually still a free membership. It's incorrect to characterize it as paid membership only. But if you are not a paid member, you won't get access to the professional development resources, the meeting announcements, or your state chapter. But you will be able to explore portions of the CSTA website. But in the email I'm sending, it will show you how to apply for Title I funding if you're in a Title I school. The CSTA membership can count as a professional development cost because of all the resources that are available through them. And also, if you have never been a paid CSTA member before, you're going to be able to join for $10 for this first year coming up. And I will give you the code you have to input in order to get that deal as part of that email. And oh my gosh, I'm so proud of us. We are finishing up with a couple minutes left. If you've got questions or comments, feel free to hang out for a minute and we'll take care of them, throw them in the chat, follow up with an email to us. But we appreciate you taking time to start your Monday with us online. Whether you have just gotten students back in the building with you or they're coming in the next couple days, we know it was a big deal to carve out this much time, and you are appreciated for doing that and joining us. And we hope you got something out of it that is going to help make your job a little bit easier. And with that, we'll send wishes for a great rest of the week and an awesome 25-26 school year for you. And we'll be walking right alongside you, hopefully helping to lighten the load. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.